Hey guys, this is Aventis, and in today's video I am going to be talking about art conventions or comic conventions or whatever conventions, and how to get in, how to prepare and stuff like that. Or at least how I did it. Now, roll the intro. So, first of all, in order to go to a convention, you have to choose a convention to go to. Now, if you have never done this before, then maybe I would recommend to, check it out as a guest at first, especially if it is in like another town, because, that is a sensible thing in order to just see how things are going there, just to give you a little insight, the first and pretty much only convention I ever went to is here in my town. I went there as a volunteer, and sometimes they asked me to sit in their place and sell their comics for them. Obviously I knew them. I knew those guys, but they were busy, they were giving talks, they went out to have lunch or something, and I was just selling their comics. Maybe not very well, but that is another thing. And so that was my first ever experience going to a comic convention. And the next year I just went there with a folder full of my artwork, and people could just look at it. And I felt like a little noob there with my folder, while everybody else around me was selling their stuff. So I swore an oath that the next year I will bring something to sell. And guess what? It didn't happen. But the next year after that, I had 3 zines prepared, and I had a bunch of bookmarks prepared, and I was wearing a Vampire Hunter D cosplay. It was like a walk. I was my own walking advertisement. So people just came around, asked me who I was. Nobody really recognized Vampire Hunter D because this convention was mostly about, independent or Western comics. Yeah, and then the next year I had more stuff to sell. And this year, if, this quarantine business is over, I will have some stickers prepared. I'm really hoping I will have one more zine and one more comic prepared and printed and everything. By the way, if you do not live right where I do, then you might want to visit my web shop and buy some of my books as PDFs there. And eventually I am really hoping that I will be able to sell physical copies through my web shop. But back to the topic, the takeaway message of what I want to say here is that, if you are not a pro and you already have 20 books published and prepared and everything, then you may want to start out slow, and that is perfectly okay. I guess if you are just starting out as an artist and you don't really have physical stuff to sell, then maybe you might be asking, okay, but how do I print my comics? And with my first ever zines, what I did is that I printed them out myself. They are very short, about 20-page zines in black and white, so even my mom's printer in her office could just print 50 of them, and I just folded them and stapled, I think staple is what you call it, and just stapled them in the middle, and voila, you have something to sell. Now, these stuff are not the highest quality, so if you have like a comic, yeah, and what I learned is that, just as a side note, that zines, if you are not going to like a zine convention sort of thing, or an art convention, zines usually don't really sell, but comics, there are some collectors who will buy your comic no matter what it is about. So yeah, that is how I pretty much made money on my last few conventions. Yeah, now that I remember, I went to a convention last year in another town, and I was really happy that I made enough money that was like twice the amount of the travel and a little bit more, so I was really happy about it. So back to business. I don't really have experience in like publishing with a publisher, because what I've been told is that publishers, when you are publishing a comic, you don't really get as much revenue as if you are publishing a book, because a book deal is like different than a comic deal or whatever. So I only have experience in self-publishing. Now, if you want to self-publish your comic or zine or whatever, first you will have to, if you it is not necessary or it is not obligatory, but you may want to get a copyright on your work, because I don't know, that is how I feel safe about selling my stuff. So in order to get a copyright, you may want to just Google your national, like, official copyright rules, and there will be like a governmental institution or something who does it, and you have to look it up for yourself, and I cannot really give you solid answer for this, is because it usually a copyright varies from country to country. So for example, in my country, a copyright costs some money, not a lot, but some money, and you can pretty much just fill in a bunch of papers where you write your name and your work's title, and you attach your work in a PDF, and you send it to this like governmental organization or whatever, and you send them the money, and they will reply in like on a governmental platform that okay, it's been accepted, and like that's it. Now if you want an ISBN number as well, then it is also a different procedure in every country. I haven't really did it yet, but I looked it up because I want to do it with my next comic. In my country, how ISBN works is that, also it might be international because I stands for international. Okay, so if you want to get an ISBN number, you cannot really get it. You can only ask for it if your work has like text in it. So by text I mean like, comics have some text that you read, poems are text, I don't know, some sort of descriptions are text, a novel is a text as well, of course. So what I learned is that for my zine, that was literally just pictures and pictures. I couldn't get an ISBN number for it. And for the fees of the ISBN number in my country, there is no... you don't need to pay a fee, but you have to send in like 5 of your works to the National Library, which I think is pretty cool. As I heard in America it costs something, but if you buy like 10 ISBN numbers, then it is cheaper or something. Now, But if you want to self-publish an ebook, or like in a like whatever e-format out there, then it is a different ISBN number, and you will have to apply it like separately or something. So yeah, that is about ISBN number. And now if you have everything, you have your work copyrighted, you have your ISBN, you have everything ready, then you may want to search for, if you are, of course I am talking about self-publishing here. So then you look for a printer. Now there are many online printing services out there, but what I found is the cheapest is that even in my smallest town in the middle of nowhere, there is a printer like a few streets from my house. Like, I'm not kidding, it is literally there. And what you have to do is that you write an email to them that, hi, my work is like, I don't know, black and white, 35 A4 pages. I'm just saying some random things. And I want to print 100 of them. As a side note, if you want, like this, like perfect bound, glue bound book with a spine, your work needs to be more than 100 pages because otherwise so they will print it for you. It will cost a lot, but if your book is less than 100 pages, then it will pretty much just fall apart. Trust me. Now, so yeah, you send an email and yeah, that this is my work, I want this many of it, how much will it cost? And they will tell you exactly how much it will cost. Now, the first time I was printing, I wrote to 2 or 3 printers who are in my town. In the end, I chose the one that is nearest to me because they just seem the most professional and the cheapest. Yeah, that's it. They are doing an amazing job. If you have never printed your stuff before, what you need to do that will make this process a bit easier and make the product as cool as you want, then in Photoshop, if you, making an A5 sized comic or zine or whatever, you just add a 5mm border to all of your pages, and that's it. When the first time I was printing something with them, I asked for a proof, although the problem with proofs are that they cost a lot. And so the first thing I printed came out on a bit thick paper, but that's not really a problem. The next one I printed was on a thinner paper, and it came out pretty nice. If you paint, if you want to print something that is colored, then you either paint it in CMYK, color profile, which in Photoshop you can just change it by one click, or you paint it in RGB and then convert it into a CMYK profile. It doesn't matter, because when you are printing you will not see it, but when you save it as a JPEG or something, then you will see that it is very different from the RGB colors. Anyway, if you have a CMYK file, then it will look pretty nice on printing. At least I didn't really have problems with it. And yeah, so usually my dear printer, when I ask them for For the prices, it takes them a week or two, you know, depending on their schedule. But sometimes the printing takes less or more time. But I would say if you really want to be sure that your thing is ready by the convention, then start this like publishing printing process at least a month before the convention, because that is when you can be sure that everything will go smooth. To be honest, I just wanted to talk about conventions, but turned out I talked about a lot of other things. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm really interested to announce that I made some stickers, and believe it or not, these damn stickers, they are vinyl, whatever stickers from a local printer, another printer. They are very, very good quality, but they cost me way much than any of my books that I printed. Yeah, I guess that is all I wanted to talk about, like random things related to conventions. Yeah, maybe a bit of plans for the future. I want to go to more conventions in the future, because I don't know. Oh yeah, and one thing that I heard a lot from like other artists is that if you want to sell more at a convention, then you have to smile and talk to people and everything, which is, yeah, it's absolutely true. But what I heard is that it is very exhausting. Now, you know, I am very much an introvert, but for some reason, during conventions, I'm just so energized. Like, I could do anything and everything, and to me, conventions are really fun and I really like doing them. Well, anyway, I think this was enough of rambling about random convention related and printing related things. So I hope you heard some new information, or it was at least inspiring or something. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.